So I'm watching every single Criterion film, and in this video I have Ruben Östlund's 2022 film Triangle of Sadness, which is a savage, darkly comic satire about class, beauty, and power that pivots from glossy social commentary to brutal castaway allegory. The film follows Carl and Yaya, a model influencer couple whose fragile status and relationship are exposed across 3 chapters, an open look at the fashion world, a grotesque luxury yacht sequence where class tensions escalate, and a final island stranded section that upends social hierarchies as survivors fight for basic survival. The narrative deliberately shifts tone from social comedy to survival fable, using escalating humiliation and chaos to make its point. The film skewers neoliberal elites in the luxury economy by staging a microcosm on a super yacht where monetary and social capital controls behavior until catastrophe strips those currencies away. Östlund shows how wealth functions as social armor and moral blindfold, producing entitlement and hypocrisy. Beauty and influencer culture are treated as convertible assets where attractiveness and curated online personas become forms of capital that grant access and power, yet are shown to be superficial and precarious. The film links fashion and cosmetic culture to broader systems of value and exploitation. After the shipwreck, the film stages a reversal where survival skills trump money and status, flipping authority onto those previously invisible like service staff, making them in control for knowing basic survival instincts. This collapse interrogates how power is constructed and how quickly social identities can be remade. Östlund uses comedy, grotesque set pieces, and escalating humiliation to make moral points without offering clear solutions. The narrative moves from super ego-governed social performance to ego-driven survival, and finally to id-like savagery. The film argues that status is performative and contingent, and when the structures that sustain it vanish, so does the moral legitimacy of the elite. Charlie Dean as Yaya brings a sharp, magnetic blend of glamour and emotional distance that makes the film's critique of influencer culture feel real rather than schematic. Harrison Dickinson as Carl plays the insecure model whose passive entitlement slowly curls into survivalist cunning. The pair's early scenes establish the film's tonal target of brittle intimacy and transactional romance. These lead performances are the film's emotional engine. Dolly De Leon as Abigail is the movie's moral and comedic core, as she's practical, quietly authoritative, and unexpectedly charismatic in the island sequences, and ends up being the film's true scene stealer. Woody Harrelson plays the captain as a drunken pseudo-socialist showman whose rhetoric escalates the film's grotesque set pieces. Zlatko Buric and other supporting players supply the grotesque satire energy Östlund needs to take shots at elite complacency. Östlund has actors switch between deadpan realism and broad grotesque, where small, intimate beats like the restaurant argument and private texts are put against operatic public humiliations like the captain's dinner. That contrast makes performances feel risky, where actors must sell both believable interior life and exaggerated social types, and the cast's ability to sustain that tonal tightrope even when the script leans heavy-handed never gives out. Ruben Östlund directs Triangle of Sadness as a clinical social experiment where he stages escalating set pieces that expose status rituals, then strips them away to test human behavior under pressure. Östlund treats the film as a series of controlled experiments rather than a conventional character drama. He builds long, meticulous timed set pieces like the captain's dinner and the shipwreck that function as social probes and are designed to provoke your complicity and discomfort as much as to reveal character. Östlund's satire is blunt and procedural as he pushes scenes past comic relief and into grotesque excess so that you must confront why you laugh at the humiliation of elites. That escalation from polite awkwardness to sewage-slick chaos makes the film's moral experiment explicit. This method just produces brilliant individual sequences even when the overall architecture feels slightly uneven. Östlund uses distinct narrative spaces like the fashion world, the yacht, the island as thematic laboratories where each space has its own visual grammar. It reinforces the film's argument about status and vulnerability. The film favors composed wide frames and choreographed blocking that let social dynamics play out in a single setting, turning reactions and background details into part of the joke or indictment. Clothing and cosmetic signifiers are treated as social currency. Östlund lets costumes shift from polished to tattered to highlight the collapse of social order. So if there's anything to take away from this film, focus on how staging, duration, and escalation create moral pressure, and how the camera often watches like a scientist recording behavior rather than a sympathizer telling a story. And I think that is the biggest highlight and deal breaker of this film. And I give Triangle of Sadness an A+, a 9 out of 10, and a 4.5 stars. And yeah, this movie really reminded me of a show on HBO Max called The White Lotus. It kind of has the same tone, the same themes, and I just had a great time watching these white people deal with their own issues and just watch them create chaos. If you've seen Triangle of Sadness, let me know your thoughts down below. And if you haven't seen Triangle of Sadness, are you going to check it out? Let me know down below, and don't forget to like and follow.